about the journey, and it's going to talk about, alongside it's going to be my academic research, and then it's going to talk about how personally my experience has changed when I went to Punjab. So when I was first told about this talk, Reaching for Home, instantly the idea of Khalistan comes to mind. But like from personal experience, when I was first exposed to Khalistan, I was about 16, 17, and it was really, really negative. Like the perceptions that I held of it were really negative at the time. All it meant for me was like, I just saw people, like a bunch of people at the end of a Nagar Kirtan just shouting angry slogans, swearing at Indira Gandhi, and for me it didn't go hand in hand with what the Nagar Kirtan was there for. And then it was kind of just egged on by the people that I met at school, people that said to me, that would question like my Sikhi just because I didn't believe in Khalistan, and someone went as far to say, if you don't believe in Khalistan, then you're not a good Sikh. So for me, it was really conflicting, the idea of like Sikhi, what was like peaceful means, and like the idea of religion and violence didn't go together at the time, and I didn't understand what was going on. So this kind of brought about my research when I went into uni, and I used my like academic, well, I had to do like a uni dissertation. So that brought about like my desire to go into 84 and find out what it was really about and actually look at it from an academic perspective. The results of the research was just breaking back really many misconceptions that I had at the time. Like I would question why Sanji was in the Bar Sahib with weapons, and why did he take them in there, and all these misconceptions were kind of cleared up after my research. So it was just the idea that Sanji, like first of all, that Sanji didn't want a homeland. It was the idea that he wanted to fix Punjab, that the real deep-root issues, and these were like the demands in the Anandpur Sahib resolution. I had no idea what that was before my research. So it's the idea that he actually wanted to fix Punjab, that like the same Punjab that exists today, all the deep-root issues, he was looking to fix those, not ask for a Sikh homeland. Also the idea of after research, you look at propaganda and how we were asking for equal rights, but that same movement was labelled as a separatist movement. You start to analyse how the government labelled the movement and then try to determine the way it was going. And it's only through research you start to break through the labels and realise what we actually really wanted, and what people like Sanji, you start to break through the labels and you actually get to know individuals like Sanji and not the militant image that's portrayed in the propaganda. And it made me realise that during 84, it wasn't just the practical things of the Bar Sahib that we lost, it was the actual Sikh psyche. At the time that Sanji was creating a revolution, like people were becoming inspired and becoming more active, and they attacked the Sikh psyche so much that we were left with this victim mentality that we still carry on today, and we're still trying to work through that trauma of what happened at the time. So it's only through research that you realise how much we're still being affected by the events of that time. So academic research, and then going back to Punjab now, after being exposed to all the research and spiritual interest growing, I saw Punjab really, really differently. When I was younger, like those same fields that I'd see, I'd feel so much pride and be amazed at the fact that like my granddad worked at the same field, and then like his dad worked at that same field, and it was all that hard work, and you know, it was like ends could meet and they were content. It was a simple life and they were content. But it's those same fields now that when you've been exposed to research and you think about all the farmer suicides that are going on, you think about how the economic conditions in Punjab have been set so that these farmers are struggling with so much debt, and how it's affecting their family life, and so how all these conditions have been set, so it's not just affecting the family life but the outside, and then it's the Panth and then the community, like we were talking about the different levels before. And it's only after research and stuff then you start to look at these things a lot differently, and just like personally coming across like cousins my age who were telling, like after we've searched up stuff about 84 and like what went on about under the Terrorist Act, like my cousins would be telling me that they looked up to people like KPS Gill and Beant Singh, and they saw them as the saviours of the nation. You look into it and then you look into their education, like what they're being exposed to, and it's about how do you change that mentality that they're being taught from a young age. They're just being given that side of the account and they're just treating it as a given. How do you begin to even change that kind of mentality? And even looking into the statistics, like after research, the amount that is actually spent on education out of the expenditure from 1970, it was 22.17%, and then to 2008 it dropped to 12.33%. And it's the idea of like India as a growing economy, for it to have dropped so much is actually a shocking statistic. And 2 out of 3 school-going children take drugs. These kind of in the consumption of alcohol in Punjab is the highest. With all these problems in Punjab, like there's so many problems, and I feel like over time we've started to kind of romanticize the idea of Khalistan so much that we've actually forgotten what the deep root issues of Punjab are and how we need to tackle them. With all these problems, like say, like if we idolize like the idea of Khalistan so much, if tomorrow it was to be named Khalistan instead of Punjab, is it a home that we can really be proud of? These are the kind of questions that started coming up, and it was just, why is the idea of Khalistan so important? Why have we kind of drifted away from the deep root issues that we need to actually solve, and just kind of living up to the separatist label that was imposed on us? And like, why not go back to the demands of an Underprivleged resolution? The demands were already set, so why not just go back to those and know that those are the problems of Punjab and how we need to deal with them? And then going back to the personal experience of when someone said to me, like, Khalistan is important for your Sikhi, it's like somewhere along the line we let the practical goal of Khalistan take over our spiritual, like deter our spiritual growth. And it shouldn't be like, after research I did see that religion and violence, how in Sikhi it does go hand in hand, but it's the idea of like how we've let the idea of Khalistan just take over, and we're being driven by that trauma. So people that maybe not that interested in Sikhi, you'll still see them at like rallies and remembrance marches, but like once a year to be going out and saying Khalistan, Khalistan isn't enough. Like, we're not actually helping the people that are suffering. And if we want to carry on knowing about if we want to get in touch with the movement of that time, and if we want to idolize Santji, it's not fair. We're not doing him any justice if we just keep living up to that militant image that's portrayed of him. Why not really research and get to know Santji? Like, stories like when I was researching, stories of how this one Baji, he stayed with Santji, and at the time he was telling like how when Santji heard about a Saruk being burnt by the police because they were searching for him, like, he cried his eyes out. Things like that, the things that show that he's human are never played on because they don't live up to that militant image that's portrayed of him. Like, if you want to get to know him, you get to know the whole spiritual, like, he's our like community's hero, and we don't even know. We're being told by other people what he is. So the militant and aggressive image that's portrayed of him, it's about time that we start breaking through him and getting to know him ourselves. And if we want to, and it's about how, if we're like to fight for like these people and to actually help get equal rights within India and to stop the suffering of the people, it shouldn't be the trauma that should determine that. We should want to help these people regardless of what happened in 84. It shouldn't be the idea of Khalistan that should drive us to want to help these people, because it's actually stopping us from helping these people. We've been given this really long stretch of a goal and we're not doing anything to actually invest in it. If we look at the deep root issues of what happens in Punjab and try to tackle those individually, like, we can actually begin to make a state that we could be proud, like a home that we could be proud of. And like the individual suffering in Punjab, like, it doesn't matter to them what it's named. Like, for an average farmer that's suffering, he'll want to know how you can help him on a day-to-day basis. He won't want to know like if it's labelled Khalistan or Punjab. So I really think that after my research and everything, it's about changing the individuals and empowering them about what's going on, and like letting, so like my cousin, the one that idolized people like KPS Gill and all of that, it's about like changing that mentality, but that's only going to begin from the individuals. It doesn't mean that we name the nation and then we all become empowered and like all of a sudden Punjab is going to change overnight. It's about changing the individuals and investing in education and projects and practically getting involved, funding these things, coming up with new ideas to try and empower individuals, because the change begins from the individual. Then we can only hope to gain these people into power and then lead like a nation that we want, like a homeland. And it's and just generally, like, over the 30 years, we spend so much time just reacting to bad propaganda that's portrayed of us. We know what happened in 84. Yeah, the victim mentality is there, but it's about time that we tap into what was there before Santji. Like, Santji actually created something that people feared. That's why the government reacted like that. It's about time we tap into that revolutionary spirit and what Santji offered for us, rather than like try to just keep reacting to what's going on. Why not go over it? tap into that revolutionary spirit and become the empowered people that we are meant to become. And if we concentrate on ourselves and empower ourselves, then only can we try to empower people in Punjab, and then only can we can solve the problems of Punjab. It shouldn't be the trauma and the disaster of '84 that should determine our want to improve Punjab conditions. It should just be the fact that those are our people. We did come from, our parents came from there. Our parents came from there, and that should be enough to want to change it. It shouldn't be driven by the disaster and trauma. And it's about time we start, after 30 years, it's about time we start to analyse it a lot more differently, and we start to break free from the victim mentality. And actually, as a Sikh community, we've got so much to offer the world, and we're so caught up with just one geographical location. Start from the individuals, and we can achieve so much more. And it's about time we start looking into that and becoming more aware, and actually contributing to the problem, contributing to the solutions of Punjab's problems, rather than just idolizing Khalistan and needing that to determine our actions to help the people that are actually suffering in Punjab. Thank you very much.